Hey there, I'm Steve Rode, the old original Get Out Deck guy, and with me as always is Damon Day, the new Get Out Deck guy. Say hello, Damon.
Hey guys.
Today we're doing a video just so you can see our lovely faces and see what actually happens behind the scenes when we do all those audio podcasts. Damon and I have talked about one particular YouTube creator at least once a week for months now. This is all the little chit chat that goes on behind the scenes. She goes by the name on YouTube of the Meaty Mama. If you've ever watched her channel, you know she's one of the most hardworking, transparent people out there. You can literally see right through her. She's out there doing gig work, stretching every dollar and trying to pull herself out of debt while caring for her family, including a son with challenges who is now in a group home. She has definitely fought a good fight. And we find both of ourselves. When we talk about her, we find ourselves rooting for her. But lately, we've also asked the same question. How can we offer the Meaty Mama and people like her a lifeline, a way out of constantly struggling, of being depressed, of not having any hope about moving forward, about struggling financially? A way that doesn't rely on more exhaustion, more work, more guilt, or impossible expectations. If you've ever worked yourself to the edge of burnout, and I mean, I have, I'm sure Damon has too, and you still can't seem to catch up, you already know what she's feeling. Sometime I'll have to tell you the story of sitting on the floor with a computer in my lap and crying at 4 a.m. I was at the edge of burnout. Today, we're going to talk about what happens when working harder isn't working anymore and how to build real hope, not just stupid motivational slogans. Damon, sound right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, sounds right. Yeah, Steve turned me on to the Meaty Mama quite a while back. He's definitely a loyal watcher.
Yeah.
And she's just a lady that's out there grinding it out. She's doing, DoorDash and Uber Eats and
Yeah.
trying to make extra money, and she's basically trying to earn her way out of debt. And if I remember right, it's up somewhere around $50,000.
I think it's 52 right now.
Yeah, and she's been making progress.
Well, yeah, she's been making progress, but if you've watched her videos for a while, like I have, you've noticed that, like she'll make some progress and then something unexpected will happen and then boom, it goes right back
Well,
up again. When I
it's
first started
life.
watching her, she was working a full-time job and trying to do this on the side to make extra money.
Yeah.
And she quit the full-time job to, I guess, focus on both YouTube and the gig work. And when I watch her videos now, she just looks, so burned out, so worn out, so tired from trying everything to do better. And,
Yeah, and go ahead.
what I see in her story isn't failure, it's courage. But when she starts talking about things like selling her condo, the place that she lives, I mean, it's beaten up, needs work, and she talks about selling the place that she lives in order to get some cash out to pay off her consumer debt and then go rent someplace. It it stresses me out.
Yeah. Well, that was actually the episode that she did recently that kinda caused us to say, "Hey, we should do an episode on, kinda not necessarily her story, but there's a
No.
lot of people that are going through the same type of things." And when that episode came out where she was considering selling the condo
Yeah.
to pay off the consumer debt, Steve and I were both going
Like,
like,
whoa.
"No, no, hold on. Let's pump the brakes before we just make a rash decision."
Yeah.
Because when I'm watching her, I feel like like you said, she is just so burned out. She's looking at like feeling like it's hopeless
Right.
trying to pay this debt off. And there are other options available. In fact, I reached out to her. We don't even know her real name.
No.
We
Oh,
don't have, there's no contact information. I put a comment on one of her videos. Maybe she'll see it, maybe she won't. But, you know, I'd love to help her out. Just have a conversation and,
yeah.
look at her situation and say, hey, look, okay, let's take a step back and let's look at several options before we go to what I would consider potentially the nuclear option, which is sell my house, my condo, the place I live that I have stability at, in order to get rid of this consumer debt. And now we're throwing our family into instability,
Right.
and we're, having to rent that has price fluctuations, and who knows what could happen. It may even end up costing her more moving forward. And then she's losing maybe the one asset that she has
Yeah.
just to get rid of consumer debt, when there's other ways that we should explore and consider to get rid of consumer debt. Because in this video, she's talking about she just wants to get to a place where the extra money that she's making can go towards investment and go
Right.
towards retirement.
Right.
And I'm all for that. I'm 100%. But I think she feels like this is her only path forward, and she's not going to be able to get to that place without doing something drastic like selling the condo.
Well,
But really, the issue is the debt, right?
yeah, I
So
mean,
if we can,
I think there are all sorts of accessory issues that have led her or forced her down one particular path based on some of her music choices in the car, and I can make some sort of inferences about her particular point of view and the struggle. I got to struggle my way out of debt. And
yeah,
we did our podcast last time all about just a really new way to look at the situation and find a way forward. And I think that if there was a way that we could have just said, "Hey, Meaty," since I don't know your first name,
Meaty.
Meaty,
It's a great name, by the way,
yeah,
Meaty. Oh,
Meaty,
so yeah, if you're not familiar with Meaty Mama, go to YouTube and just Google. She's got 30,000 subscribers, so she's easy to find. Just
yeah. Her
Google
her
or go into
handle
YouTube and
her handle is at the Meaty Mama. So,
Vini Vidi Vici.
I think she's doing what all of us have done at some point, which is just showing up, um, and hoping that somehow that's going to make everything better. But
Yeah, well, she's definitely a grinder. I mean, it's not
oh
through
yeah,
lack of trying. I've watched several of her videos over the last year, and she's just out there grinding. But the issue is that she's just not doing what she's doing. She's not able to make enough to cover everything that she's got going on, plus really tackle this debt. And like Steve said, she's making progress, but then she gets knocked back with something in life. And then it's like,
yeah.
oh, okay, well, that $1,000 I paid off last month now had to go, back onto it. So the debt is back up. And I think she's just probably tired of that yo-yo. She's just burnout and
Oh
tired.
yeah,
And that
yeah.
50,000 just seems so insurmountable.
She wants to go. What now? In Florida, you have the Homestead Exemption Act, which protects the equity in your real estate for most people. Um, but while the condo that she's living in, she says it needs work. And if she
Mhm.
sold it, it would have to be as is. And apparently the condo has some sort of special assessment for additional community work, condo work. But if we can get through all of that and do the fixes one at a time, that condo over time is going to probably be a financial wealth builder. Not
Yeah.
not tomorrow, not next month, not next year, but if she sticks with it, real estate prices have always gone up. The condo crisis in Florida will get fixed. Markets will return. Now, here's an interesting fact, Damon, that 16% of Americans have earned money through gig platforms. But like Meaty has discovered, gig workers often face unstable income. The last video she went out, and I think her average hourly earnings was less than 11
10
bucks.
bucks.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
10.64, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. We got
And
to fix that too.
yeah, that's just not sustainable, especially when you think about the one thing that's not being included in there is, like you have said before, you need to set aside at least 50 cents a mile for your expenses that you're going to have to pay for from the work using your own vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, if I could ask, Meaty Mama one question, and anybody, in a similar situation, it would be a simple question. If there was no debt, if the
Yeah,
debt was gone, would you still consider selling your house? Are there other reasons that you're wanting to sell it? And if the answer is no, if I didn't have the debt, I wouldn't be considering selling my house. Well, then don't be selling your house. We can
right.
find other ways to get the debt gone. Now,
Well,
she
I think
just
I
doesn't
think
have a large enough sphere to know, well, she might think that's my only option left. That's the only thing I have equity
right.
in. but there are other ways other than Dave Ramseying your way out of it if it's not working. Because Dave Ramsey can work in some situations, but as we've decided, 90% of situations,
Doesn't
that's an inside joke for you guys on the last podcast. 90% of the time, that method just does not work because Steve and I were talking last week. Like, has anybody ever actually followed or studied all the people that try that Dave Ramsey way and don't succeed? Like, they don't get on the radio show,
right.
right? How many people, how many millions of people have tried that strategy in a year, 2 years, and it didn't work, but nobody talks about that.
Yeah, they don't let you phone in and go, I failed.
Yeah. I'm not debt free.
This program sucks.
It sucks, man. It's not working. And that's when Dave would go, well, just sell your house.
Yeah, you're right. Just sell your house.
Yeah. Well, and that's probably why Meaty Mama's thinking about that. She freaking listened to the Dave Ramsey show. Was like, well, it's not where I got to sell my house.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't have to sell your house unless there's other reasons to do so.
Well, plus, you know what? It feels like a fast way out of a bad situation. The problem here isn't that people need a fast way out. What they need is a sustainable way out.
Yeah.
You know,
and there are other fast ways out too, but you can keep your house.
Yeah. But my
if you need a fast way.
My 30 plus years of helping people have shown me that people that take a fast, unprotected way out and can't immediately start building for the future and saving immediately, and who lose time compounding interest on their investments, my experience has shown me that they just circle back again and they fall into the same trap because the selling of the condo or the selling of the house or the selling of the whatever was a temporary fix.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're familiar with the saying, measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that's from the construction industry, but that applies here too. Take your time, research, understand all of your options. Once you sell the condo, it's done. It's sold. You cut it, right?
Yeah.
You got to measure a couple times, make sure that's the right place to cut.
Right. Now, in looking through her comments, I see lots of comments of people going, you can do it, you can struggle, you can keep grinding away. And so she's getting a lot of support with that.
You can do it. That is from Happy Gilmore, bro. It's Happy Gilmore.
You can't hustle your way out of compound interest. Working harder doesn't make math change. And sitting out there for hours hoping to make more money doesn't make more money.
Yeah.
I would say that...
No, go ahead.
I would say that if you watch her videos over a period of time, you would definitely know that she is not lazy, and she's proof that hard work alone, without a plan, it just isn't enough anymore. And Damon, that's why people who've listened to our podcast for a long time know that I always suggest that people talk to you, that contact you through your website, damonday.com, DAMONDAY.com. Have a free talk with Damon. And Meaty, if you're listening to this and you've made it this far, please, for the love of God, please reach out to Damon and just have a conversation.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes hard work is enough, right? It depends on the situation. Sometimes you can work your way out of the situation that you're in, but sometimes you can't, or you can, but the opportunity cost is too great to do it. And you just need to take a step back and analyze those different strategies and different options and decide for yourself what's right for you, because it is your future, right?
Yeah, but especially when, I mean, I went through it myself. I can see it in Meaty, watching her videos. I've had thousands of clients.
We need to find out her name. We need to find out her name.
Meaty,
I'd love to know your name.
Thousands of clients that have experienced the same thing, which is when you're in that frustrating situation and things feel hopeless and you're tired and you're burned out, you wind up being depressed. You wind up not being able to make a plan, to take action, to follow through, and to get yourself out. I mean, Damon and I I don't know how many thousands of people that we have seen in similar situations. But if you're going through it through the first time and you're struggling, it's really hard for you to see all your options because, quite frankly, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, we can, keep harping on this point, but it just really comes down to don't make rash decisions without first exploring all the options. It's that
All the
simple.
options, all the
Yeah,
options.
it's that simple. And I don't care if we're talking about bankruptcy potentially, we're talking about negotiating that debt so you're not paying it in full at 25% interest. We're
Mhm.
talking about credit counseling type strategies where at least you're negotiating the interest rates down. Even Dave Ramsey's strategy, that can work. I mean, last night today's Saturday. Friday night, I went out and drove. Friday afternoon, my wife was out of state, and I was like, I got some free time. I made over $500 last night
On gig
driving the
apps.
car on gig apps, doing, Uber Eats and DoorDash and a little bit of Instacart and some
Yeah.
Walmart Spark. I made $500,
Yeah, how many hours was
So,
that?
that was 8 hours
Okay.
between the after, and it was not 8 hours straight. It was like go out an hour or two. It's all right around my house. I think I did 130 miles, 140 miles. It was
Mhm.
just a lot of quick grab some bonuses, go drop off. So there is some strategy there too that I see a lot of these gig workers on YouTube, and they're taking these $4 Uber Eats orders and $5 orders, and that's not if that's all you can figure out how to do in your market because your market just doesn't have those types of
Mhm.
better orders. Gig work in that location might not be the right solution, right? You might have to look at doing something different if all you can get is $4 and $5 orders. You're never like that's why Meaty Mama's doing $10 an hour.
Right,
That's
but
not gonna the math doesn't math at that point.
yeah, but I think I've also heard her say that she doesn't like to do shopping gigs because they take too long. Um, and you used to say the exact same thing too.
I
I
did.
and now they're one of your top sources of income on the gig apps.
Yeah, but you have to be super selective. And there's a strategy to that, just like there's a strategy to everything. And the strategy is decline the crap. That's the strategy. And most of those offers are crap. So you
Yeah.
just have to get comfortable saying no, 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 no. Oh, okay. That one's
Yeah.
good. That one pays well. I'll take it.
Now, debt is not a sin, right? It's just math. It's just math wrapped in emotion. Um,
Yeah.
it is it is not a financial a farmer is not a sinner if he plants a crop and it doesn't rain. That's just that's just life. That's just circumstance.
Is that a Steveism?
That is.
Okay. I'll take that to the bank.
Giving yourself permission to look for other options is giving yourself grace. It's strength, and that's a financial strategy too. Bankruptcy filings have definitely increased, and I guess maybe this is a good point to talk about one of the options in Meaty Mama's situation. I noticed in at least one of the comments said, "Hey, have you considered bankruptcy?" And out of all the comments that were there at the time that I looked at it, there were 5 that gave that comment a thumbs up. So the rest
Oh,
were
that's good.
yeah, but the rest, were all supporting a different path. And
Crabs in
uh,
a bucket, Steve.
you,
Pulling her down.
so you're telling me you have crabs?
Only in the bucket.
Okay. Hey, whatever you
And
want to
for those
call
that
it.
don't understand the reference, you can put crabs in a bucket and without a lid, and they won't crawl out because if one tries to crawl out, the other crabs will reach up and pull it down. Now, I haven't seen that firsthand, but I've heard that, so I assume it's true. I don't know.
Well, growing up in Maryland and spending a lot of time by the Chesapeake Bay and having some full buckets of blue crabs,
Okay,
not true.
oh, it's not true.
The one on top
Well,
makes an escape.
so there's hope, Steve. You're saying there's
Yeah,
hope.
yeah, yeah. The one on
You
top.
can get out.
You got
You
to
can
get
break
yourself.
out.
You got to get yourself up on top, and then you can get out. All right, so
Got to ditch the haters
Let's
and the
talk about.
cheerer honors.
Yeah, it's interesting that my point of view, not living in her situation right now. My point of view, when I see all those comments supporting her current path, which is just not working for
Yeah.
her, my point of view is that's a group of people that just wants to hold her back and hold her down and keep her in misery. And
But
I want her
I
to move forward.
yeah. But I don't think they feel like that. I think
They don't.
most of
No.
those people genuinely feel like, "Hey, you can do it. Keep going. You got this." And it's I don't want to use the term ignorance in a negative context, but it's kind of like they don't understand that she does have better options because why would they? They don't deal with this kind of stuff every day. So I think their cheering comes from a good place.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
just a place of ignorance. And again, ignorance not used in a negative connotation, just
Well,
not lack of knowledge for
we
what they're
talked
cheering her on to do.
we talked about it last time about how, there's this one point of view and one strategy, like you've got to dig your way out of debt. If we're talking about the Christian moral rapper point of view. And um, there's nothing you can do. You have to work harder and dig your way out of debt. So for me, that's kind of more punishing you and punishing your
Yeah.
family, punishing your situation, certainly punishing your future and your retirement, um,
Yeah.
because you're just going to waste time. But, the Bible is also full of forgiveness. And grace and forgiveness don't make you a sinner, right? The Bible doesn't say, maybe it does, I don't know, but in the Catholic Bible that I read growing up, the Bible never said when you turn the other cheek and you forgive someone and you have empathy and you help the person who's less fortunate, you're an ass.
Yeah. He used the phrase donkey back then.
Well,
Hey,
actually,
donkey.
that's that's funny because it's the note that I wrote myself that I had to explain to you, which
I'm
is
segueing.
thank you for bringing up the donkey. Uh,
Sure.
but I was thinking, in biblical stories, there are stories of someone riding a donkey or whatever, going from town to town riding a donkey, and I thought, if you're going to use the punishment point of view, then the person riding the donkey is an ass because they, they shouldn't use a tool. They shouldn't use a better way to get someplace. They should be taking every step for themselves. So
Yeah.
if you're using a tool to deal with your financial situation, uh, why isn't that as smart either?
Yeah.
I mean, it is smart.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, if you have options, if you and Meaty to go back to Meaty Mama, she understands where she wants to go. She's talking
Yeah,
about, I want to be able to invest in retirement. I want to be able to, put money into the market, but all this extra money is going into this debt and I'm spinning my wheels. So she's on the right path. She knows what needs to happen,
right,
but she's just kind of stuck in, okay, clearly the only way I can get out of this 50 grand is to sell the one asset I have. And I mean, she might have other assets, but I think this may be her only asset.
mhm,
And that's how she feels like that's the only way out. But if we can get rid of that debt in a different way,
yeah,
and then she can maintain that asset, she can have that quick way out, and then she can start investing that extra money in the retirement. And more importantly, when she gets to that point where she doesn't need the money
right.
every month and it's extra, then she can take a step back and be a lot more selective. And I will bet money she will start making more money at these gig apps when she no longer is in a spot that she absolutely needs it because she's taking these bad offers out of desperation.
That's
It's
all
like she needs
it's
to get herself,
available. Yeah,
yeah. So she needs to get herself out of that situation to where she can be more selective. And then she can potentially have $500 days like I had yesterday, being selective because I don't need to have that money. So I could say, come on, Uber, quit playing. I ain't doing $5 for 10 miles. Like, get the hell out of here. I
you're
ain't doing that
funny.
crap.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I say that like, 40, 50 times a day. I'm like, Uber, quit playing. You got jokes. Declined. Ain't doing that.
the Bible teaches, jubilee, the debt forgiveness, the release of debts, and the restoration for the weary. And so this is always a difficult point in a conversation. I had this food delivery guy, Schwan, delivers frozen food. I don't know if they're in other parts of the country, but he pulled me aside and said, you know something about debt and stuff, and he explained his
You're like, a little
situation
bit.
a little bit. He explained his situation to me, and, I started talking to him about options, and I must have just phrased it completely wrong, but he was telling me about what his limitations were. I have to work my way out, all this stuff. I have to dig my way
Mhm.
out. I made a promise, all this stuff. And when I started talking about other options, he was like, "Well, thanks anyway." And he didn't want to hear them. But, forgiveness is divine. And why do we believe that we're holier than thou by punishing ourselves and screwing our future? We've talked many times about how it's easy to make the debt go away right now. And it's easy to learn from that experience. And it's easy to do better moving forward. And it's easy to build a retirement fund with $1 million in it.
Mm.
It's harder to not do any of that and just struggle in depression and fatigue and lack of opportunity and lack of safety and everything else.
Yeah. DoorDash millionaire. I can show you how to be a DoorDash millionaire. I mean, provided you're not already 65.
Yeah.
But if you've got time, the time and time to let the interest compound, I can show you how to now not doing $4 orders, but maybe doing $8 or $10 orders. I can show you how to retire a millionaire just by doing DoorDash for a few years.
Grace and math and forgiveness all go together. You don't
Yeah.
have to have
Yeah.
one versus another.
Yeah.
48% of evangelicals view personal debt as a moral failure, which I think is a really interesting point of view because it's just math.
Yeah.
If you did something and you found yourself in a situation, I think what's interesting, Damon, is by the time that we've had conversations with people and they finally saw a different way and they've come from I'm never going to do that to okay, I've decided that I want to be better moving forward. I want to be able to save for retirement, and I will think about bankruptcy or settlement or something like that. And they started with, I must repay all that debt. And at the end, when we've individually said to people over the years, you know, you said to me once that you absolutely had to repay all that debt. We just got rid of all that debt. If you want to repay it, you still can. And what do people always say?
Why would I do that? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I always go back to when I'm talking to clients, it's your money, it's your credit, it's your life. So
Yeah.
it's not my job to
No.
tell you what you have to do, right? My job is to shine a light on all those different options and explain to clients, this is what your life is going to look like if you do this. This is what your life looks like if you do this and if you do this. Go through all those pros and cons because there's different, strokes for different folks, right? And then at the end of the day, if I show Meaty Mama all these different strategies and
Yeah. She
solutions, and she
chooses
says,
stay the
I
same
still
path.
want to sell the condo. It's my okay, that's fine. Then my path shifts to how do we do the best strategy that you want to do? How do we implement that the best way?
Yeah.
I don't sit there and continue to browbeat a client like, no, 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 no.
No, no, no.
I said
Right.
you have to do this. I said you have to do this. That's not how it works. It's not my future. It's not my life. It's yours. So it's your decision. My job is just to shine that light so you can see all those different options and you can look at the different opportunity costs because no matter what you do, there's going to be sacrifice involved and there's going to be opportunity cost. There's going to be risk, right? You just have to decide what's the best fit for you in the current situation that you're in and then roll with it. But don't make major decisions until you look at all those
Right.
options,
You bring up a great point, which is
as I
I,
often do.
as yes, as I often praise you for doing, um, that you don't have to do one particular thing. I'm not advising someone this is the only way. My
Yeah.
frustration is not that they picked path B or whatever. My frustration is always that we weren't able to explain everything to them so that they could make the best decision for themselves rather than assuming. It's the assumption that kills me. It's like
Well,
saying, "Hmm?
I was just say people often just get to the point where they're so frustrated and emotionally drained
They give up.
that they just latch on to, okay, this sounds like it's, I can sell the condo. I'm going to get this money, pay this off. And then this big stress, this $50,000 is going to go away. And
Yeah.
then they just, okay, I see, like you mentioned earlier, I see that easy, quick fix and I'm just going to do it. And they just mentally get to the point where they're so tired of dealing with it. They just do it without taking the time to look at anything else.
And so I think that people who are in her situation and herself, that she has worked so hard. She has done everything. She is grinding through it every day. And if I had a magic wand to wave, it would be that we can get her on a path forward that's a plan that's working towards resolving this and also allows her some rest. And because through rest and restoring your own health and your mental health and everything else, I always find that you can find inspiration when we can get you out of desperation.
Yeah.
I mean,
Agreed.
let's let math carry the burden here, not shame and guilt.
Yeah. As I often do, I concur.
Oh, you agree?
I concur.
So every week, last week was Damon had a point of view, and I went off for 48 hours and wrote a 50,000 word post. It's right. It's right on the homepage at
He did.
getoutdebt.org. It's linked right at the top
And we'll link the websites in the description.
in the description. Yeah, and um, when you look at the totality of all the information, people will oftentimes come to a different conclusion, and that's okay. And so, if as long as you have the information, it's like saying the only way to get rid of a hangnail is to hit my thumb with a hammer. You know, I disagree.
Yeah.
That is not the only way. Or
You have to suffer through it.
yeah, and here's another example that I've loved over the years where people say they have to do it themselves, they have to work their way out of it. So you got a bad tooth. Is it wrong to go to the dentist? I mean, do you need to go to the garage and pull that thing out yourself? What's the
Just
plan here?
just just get an ice skate.
Yeah. Wilson! So I don't think that Meaty Mama, if she's still listening, I don't think that she owes anyone more exhaustion. I don't think she owes anyone, more days of struggle. She's
Yeah.
due for a different plan.
Yeah. Yeah. I just hope this somehow can reach her because I left a comment on her YouTube channel, but I really don't know any other way to reach her. She
Right.
doesn't have a email address on YouTube or anything like that. So, but I'm willing to help if you just want someone to talk to you, tell your situation to, and give you some insight. I've got 25 years experience doing this stuff. And you might think I'm full of crap and listen to what I have to say and say, no, I'm still going to sell my condo, and that's fine. Or you might say, that's something I hadn't considered or something I should think about. And maybe I won't sell my condo and maybe I'll get out of the debt. And then, like Steve said, slowly fix up that condo and
Yeah.
then have an asset that's worth hopefully a lot more money in the future. And then at that point, if you decide you want to make a move and sell it, not out of desperation though, but sell it when the market's back up and you can
Yep.
make some good money and change, where you're living, then fine. Sell it for those reasons, but don't sell it just to get out of consumer debt if there's other ways to get out of it without losing potentially the only asset that you have.
Right. And another thing is that by talking to you with all your experience in the gig apps, maybe you can show her a different way to multiply your income.
I can definitely help her with the gig earnings
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. All right, Damon. Last thing I want to say is to Meaty that I wish I knew your first name, which is I have lived through these situations myself. I went through the depths of despair. I've had my own horrible death story. And what you find when you're on the other side is life is good. Oh, in fact, I got my life is good mug right here.
Well,
Um,
that's
and
proof.
yeah, and there is hope, there is opportunity, there is a better way forward, and, no joke, there is wealth for you available, but you cannot waste time now. You can buy a lot of things, but you can't buy more time. So, please, um, think of yourself, think of your daughter, and I know that you're always thinking of your son. So, be good. Damon, until next time, I will see ya.
Peace.